Bienvenidos a la Universidad de Puerto Rico.
The El Yunque National Forest, located in the Luquillo Mountains, east of Puerto Rico, is the only subtropical rainforest in the United States forest system. Like other rainforests, this forest receives abundant annual rainfall. The wide canopies of trees create shadows that produce favorable climatic conditions for the organisms inhabiting the forest. Plants such as mosses, liverworts, bromeliads, ferns, and orchids cover the majority of the substrates in the forest. El Yunque Forest is also the habitat of the Puerto Rican parrot, Amazona pitata, an endemic or unique bird of Puerto Rico, which was declared endangered and near extinction in 1967 when the parrot population did not surpass 24 individuals. Although El Yunque's trails are visited by hundreds of visitors every year, it is very rare to see or hear Puerto Rican parrots because they only inhabit a small area of the forest, preferring areas with mature forests with abundant palo colorado trees, which provide nesting cavities, and sierra palmas, which provide plenty of fruits, one of the favorite food of the Puerto Rican parrots, in the field. When Christopher Columbus arrived in Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rican parrots, known as iguacas by the Taíno Indians, were very abundant and occupied very diverse habitats. It was common to find Puerto Rican parrots in almost every forest type in Puerto Rico. In the Rio Bajo forest, located in the town of Utuado, Puerto Rican parrots persisted until the second decade of the past century. In the Carite forest, located in the Cayey mountain range, Puerto Rican parrots persisted until the third decade of the past century. One of the factors that contributed to the decline of the Puerto Rican parrot populations was deforestation, which resulted in the elimination of the optimal habitats of the Puerto Rican parrots. Predators, such as the red-tailed hawk, predator of adults and chicks of Puerto Rican parrots, and the pearly-eyed thrasher, which depredates Puerto Rican parrot chicks and competes with parrots for nesting cavities, could be another factor that may have contributed to reduce the populations of the Puerto Rican parrots. Other factors that possibly may have contributed to the decline of the populations of the Puerto Rican parrot were the continuous arrivals of hurricanes to the island and the theft and selling of Puerto Rican parrots as pets. In order to increase the populations of the Puerto Rican parrots in the wild, the Luquillo aviary began the captive breeding of the Puerto Rican parrot in the 1970s. In these facilities, known as the Old Luquillo Aviary, the captive breeding of the Puerto Rican parrot took place for more than 30 years. Currently, this aviary has new facilities, the Iguaca Aviary. In In the 1990s, another aviary for the captive breeding of the Puerto Rican parrot was established at the Rio Abajo forest in the town of Utuado, the Jose Vivaldi Aviary. Through this documentary, we will have the opportunity to visit these aviaries to closely observe the activities and efforts of their personnel to maximize the reproduction of captive and wild populations of the Puerto Rican parrot. The Iguaca Aviary is located in a remote area on the mountains of Luquillo. In these facilities, the most extreme measures of security have been taken to avoid the entrance of strangers. Let's learn more about the Puerto Rican parrot by getting inside one of the cages where parrots socialize and form reproductive pairs. The Puerto Rican parrot is one of 12 species of Amazona parrots of the Caribbean. 3 species are already extinct, and other species are endangered or near extinction. The Puerto Rican parrot is approximately 12 inches tall, and its weight is approximately 10 ounces. Females, males, and juveniles are very similar. The Puerto Rican parrots are similar to other parrots in that their feathers are mostly green, which allows them to blend with the vegetation in the forest. The blue feathers on the wings of the Puerto Rican parrot are easily seen during flight. Puerto Rican parrot has a white ring around the eye and red feathers on the forehead. The cere, an area devoid of feathers posterior to the beak, has nasal orifices that are circular. The beak of the Puerto Rican parrot is strong, sharp, and curves downwards. It allows the processing of seeds and fruits, their preferred food. Sometimes the beak is used as an extremity for displacing on the vertical surfaces of the cage. The tongue is thick and muscular and is used to manipulate seeds and fruits. The fingers on the feet of the Puerto Rican parrot are zygodactylous. 2 of the 4 fingers are oriented towards the front, and the other 2 fingers are oriented towards the back. The orientation of the fingers allows for free movement on tree branches. The perches in this cage are tree branches that were collected from the forest and were interlocked to simulate the structural complexity of the vegetation of the forest. Because parrots prefer the highest branches in the forest, the perches were placed at different heights. Providing a natural environment is part of environmental enrichment. Its main objective is to reduce stress and promote the psychological well-being of the animal. Environmental enrichment is also attained by providing objects or toys that parrots can use to play with or bite on. Different materials, colors, and forms are used to build these toys. The wood used to build these toys is free from toxic substances, and vegetal coloring is used to provide color to the wood. These toys are very attractive, and they are bitten until they are finally dismantled. Environmental enrichment continues during the feeding period as the diet components include food with different textures, colors, and forms. The kitchen in which the diet is prepared is equipped with a commercial dishwasher and a water distiller. The preparation of the diet is complex due to the fact that several established recipes for each group of parrots have to be followed. The recipe to be used will depend on the age and reproductive stage of the parrots. New personnel have to be trained to prepare this diet. The basic Puerto Rican parrot's diet includes a mixture of commercial pellets of different forms and colors. This diet is supplemented with fruits and vegetables, which could be fresh, frozen, or canned. Fruits of the Sierra palm one of the preferred foods of the Puerto Rican parrot in the wild, are also added to this diet. Canned food, or the foods with a special packaging, which are an important component of the Puerto Rican parrot diet during hurricane periods, are stored in this room. Once the food and water are ready, they are given to the parrots. They are familiar with the aviary personnel, and they approach rapidly to eat. Although the Puerto Rican parrots are very sociable and tend to feed in groups, they frequently isolate themselves to a distant perch to consume the food. When parrots feed, they tend to use one foot for holding the food while they use the beak for detaching pieces of food. Although the parrots consume all components of the diet, some of them have preferences for some food items, such as this parrot that prefers sweet peas, and this one that prefers red pellets. After the feeding period, which occurs during the morning, the parrots retire to the perches and dedicate time to other activities. One of these activities includes preening or combing feathers with the beak. Parrots are very social and can also preen each other. Another behavior observed in these parrots is scratching the head with one foot. Sometimes the parrots scrape the beak with the perches. This behavior could be a useful one to wear out the beak or for removing pieces of food adhered to the beak. In addition to providing a healthy diet and the environmental enrichment to parrots, the frequent visits of a veterinarian are part of the care provided. Due to the strong and sharp beak, parrots must be removed with care. In order for the parrot to feel safe and not try to escape, it must be held very carefully. During evaluations, the veterinarian takes blood samples, as well as mouth cavity and feces samples. Some of the blood samples are analyzed in the aviary's clinic, which is equipped with radiological equipment, incubators, and a medicine cabinet for emergencies. This equipment is used for the chemical analysis of some of the blood samples from parrots. The chemical analysis of one of the previous blood samples is very thorough and includes the levels of glucose, some proteins, fats, calcium, potassium, and other substances. Samples that cannot be analyzed at the aviary clinic are carefully labeled and sent to external laboratories to determine the presence of pathogens or disease-causing agents. Determining the presence of pathogens is important to avoid the dissemination of diseases in captivity and in the field. In the past, some of the health problems of parrots were caused by pathogens in the wood shavings used in the interior of artificial nests. This problem was eradicated by sterilizing these wood shavings. The reproductive and physical stage of each parrot is evaluated at the beginning of each reproductive season, which is from January through July. Although parrots reach sexual maturity between the 3rd and 5th year, endoscopies are performed to determine if the reproductive pairs are sexually mature and to determine if their gonads, ovary, and testes are in optimal conditions. The endoscopy on the left photo shows that the female ovary is in optimal conditions, whereas the endoscopy of the right shows that the ovary is atrophied. The endoscopy on the left photo shows that the male testicles are in optimal conditions, whereas the endoscopy on the right shows that the testes is atrophied. After each reproductive pair of parrots is formed, they are transferred to reproductive cages. These pairs tend to be very stable and remain together for long periods of time. Unfortunately, on rare occasions, the male becomes aggressive and attacks the female until she has to be hospitalized in the aviary clinic. It is for this reason that they are monitored constantly with video cameras. In contrast to cages at the old Luquillo aviary, the reproductive cages at Iguaca and Vivaldi aviaries are surrounded by the forest vegetation. In these cages, the interference from other reproductive pairs or humans is minimal. Continuous contact with nature is important because the principal objective of captive breeding is releasing these parrots to the field. The artificial nests at Luquillo Aviary are built out of PVC plastic. The artificial nest that will be used at Iguaca Aviary has been modified to make the nesting area larger. The nest entrance is covered by a wood slide that serves as a stimulus because they tend to bite the wood at the entrance of the nest. The artificial nest used at Rio Abajo Forest also evolved through the years. After the female accepts the artificial nest, she lays 2 to 4 eggs of approximately 1 and 1.5 inches. Eggs are incubated for 26 days. Because egg laying in parrots is indeterminate, or lost eggs can be replaced, first clutch eggs can be removed by the aviary personnel. This manipulation will stimulate parrots to lay a second clutch of eggs to replace the ones removed. First clutch eggs that were removed could be incubated, and chicks are fed by surrogate parents. The surrogate parent could be Amazona parrots from the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rican parrots that are failed to reproduce or are infertile. Puerto Rican parrots that lack breeding experience will incubate and feed chicks of other species of Amazona parrots. Puerto Rican parrot chicks are altricial, that is, they are naked or without feathers. Their eyes are closed and they are fed by their parents. The development and weight of Puerto Rican parrot chicks is monitored and diet supplements are provided. 2 weeks after being born, monitoring of chicks still continues. Different types of feathers can be observed at this stage. The green color is a vegetable dye used to identify the young parrot. After 3 weeks, the bands that will identify each parrot will be placed on their legs. These bands will be kept on their legs during captivity and after being released to the field. When they are 2 months old, these parrots are fully feathered, and the white eye ring and the red feathers are easily seen. At this stage, they are docile and they are still dependent on their parents. The reproduction of the Puerto Rican parrot, both in captivity and in the field, has some degree of uncertainty. Occasionally, eggs are abandoned by their parents and they have to be taken to the aviary clinic to be artificially incubated. The artificial incubator can rotate eggs, and it has a bag that mimics the brood patch of the parent. The brood patch of the female is a zone devoid of feathers that allows heat transfer from parent to embryo. Occasionally, parrot chicks are abandoned by their parents, and they have to be taken to the aviary to be hand-fed. The food used for hand feeding is a commercial diet that is made very liquid. A syringe is used for hand feeding these abandoned birds. Although their eyes are still closed and their wings are very little, these chicks have a very strong neck. They can elevate the head very high, keep the neck very straight, and make loud begging calls that will stimulate their parent to feed them. Hand feeding information includes feeding sessions, time, food consistency, and quantity consumed. At the beginning, the hand feeding is every 2 hours during the day and night hours. The sounds of the night permeate the aviary. The aviary is alive, and nocturnal animals of the forest serve as witnesses of the arduous task of hand-feeding these abandoned birds. The frequency of hand-feeding decreases when birds get older and the diet is supplemented with the juice of a mash of field-collected fruits. These hand-fed birds are not suitable for releasing into the wild because of their frequent and close interactions with humans. These birds will be more prone for depredation. There's a period in which animals must interact and socialize with members of their species. These hand-fed birds skip this period, and they tend to be very social with humans. This phenomenon is called imprinting. After birds abandon the nest, they spend some time socializing with other parrots. Before being released into the wild, these parrots are transferred to flight cages. In these cages, they learn to avoid obstacles and to exercise. Parrots are also trained to recognize predators. The first stage of training involves presenting wooden silhouettes of bird predators. The second stage of training involves observing a simulated act of depredation that involves a bird predator and another species of parrot. During this training session, the tutor parrot is not harmed because it is using a vest protector. The final objective of the training is that Puerto Rican parrots learn by observing another parrot species avoiding predators similar to the ones observed in the simulation. Several weeks previous to field release, Puerto Rican parrots are fed with wild fruits. Finally, field liberation of Puerto Rican parrots occurs at dawn in a remote area of the forest. Protecting the Puerto Rican parrot is an arduous job that requires collaboration, help, assistance of local and federal agencies, the University of Puerto Rico, private companies, and the cooperation of all Puerto Ricans. It is our responsibility to help preserve the Puerto Rican parrot so that this and every generation in the future can enjoy and appreciate its beauty.